Hey everybody, welcome to Stuff Sketched, a video spin-off of the Stuff Said podcast. I am the host of both, Gregg Schigiel. Stuff Sketched is going to be me talking about stuff while I do a sketch. In this case, I'm going to talk about the sketch I'm doing. So what you're seeing me do right now is the very rough sort of blocking of the drawing, super rough. This is happening at double speed. I recorded my screen and then I've output the video at double speed. So everything's happening here twice as fast as you might normally have seen it if you just watched me draw it. So I just knocked back the opacity of one layer to 20%, and now that I've roughed out the pose, I'm now going in and actually doing some rough penciling. This is all happening in Clip Studio Paint, which is soft drawing software, creating software. I'm working on a Cintiq, I guess it's a 22-inch HD, and yeah, so I'm blocking in the shapes, the overall look of this thing. If you can't tell yet, this is the thing from the Fantastic Four. Putting all the parts in place. So yeah, after I've done that rough draft that you see very lightly underneath, I start actually putting in the actual drawing. Now I'm drawing him without teeth. This is a topic of much contention. Does the thing have teeth? I can't remember who pointed out to me. It might have been my friend Smitty that Jack Kirby did not draw him with teeth. So from that point, I don't draw him with teeth. I have old drawings and old sketchbooks where he's got teeth, and I don't anymore. Some people would say it limits the kind of expressions. I don't know. I think there's ways to do it. As my friend Jacob Shabbat points out, the thing is like a Muppet, and the Muppets are certainly expressive. So now I'm blocking in the shadows, and here I start laying in the rock shapes. This was something that took me a while to figure out. Again, in old sketchbooks and old drawings when I was younger, I was drawing them to look like rocks because that was the thing. The thing was made of rocks. But the reality is, in the actual drawing of the thing, it's a much more geometric looking, almost design problem, if that makes sense. All right, so now I've knocked back the cleaner. Cleaner is subjective version of the pencils, and now I am going in with a different pen, different digital pen, and quick inking. Again, this is all at double speed. I don't normally move this fast unless I really need to. But here I am cleaning up in a better form the pencils I had just done. You could see me sort of creating a bit of texture in the outline. There's one thing here that now that I'm watching it, I sort of don't particularly like is how the top of his head above the brow doesn't quite line up with the part of his head under the brow. I can't unsee that. I apologize for putting that in your minds and your ears. But I'm recording this as I'm rewatching myself draw it. That nose is a little crooked, but once you add the shadows, it cleans up a little bit. And yeah, I mean, at this point, I suppose I could just talk through exactly what line I'm drawing, but you're watching me do that. So that's somewhat pointless. This becomes a little bit mechanical, a little bit by, I don't know. I don't know if there's Spider-Man's costume has specific rules or a specific methodology to where the webs start, how they go. The thing I don't think has as set in stone, pun unintended, but I like the sound of it, methodology. You can see the way I'm sort of laying in the shadows. It's to create depth. It's to create the sense of sort of the plates of rock. But it's one of those things that the only way I can explain it is you just kind of figure out where that stuff goes. I mean, some of it is paying attention to how shadows might fall if your light sources, say, the top left of the image. But a lot of times, and you'll see in some of the rock formations or the plates later, it really, again, becomes a design decision. Now I'm using the power of digital magic to fill in the large areas of black. Boom. It really is like magic. Every now and again, you'll see me draw a line and that line will disappear. That's me clicking back on a history palette, which is one of the benefits and tools of digital stuff. Here I'm finding myself unsatisfied with the density of that line or the rock form of that line. But once I settle on it, I charge ahead. I think I'm basically following the rough pencil stuff I had done earlier and just laying down the lines with more definitive definition. Now, at this point, that shoulder rock that I just drew, it's standing out a little too much for me. So you're about to see me go in there and do an edit. Here it is. So that works a little better, I think. And now I start laying in the other shadows that kind of roughed in pencil. And I say pencil and ink, even though this is all digital and there's no actual pencil and there is no actual ink, uh, more to define the stages. Pencil is a lot rougher. Ink is going to be cleaned up, laying in the shadows, all that stuff. Which is what you're seeing now. A lot of shadows just being dropped into place. Again, the rhyme or reason I cannot quite explain, but it's having looked at and paid attention to how other people have drawn the thing. I remember looking at Carlos Pacheco's drawings of the thing when he was doing the Fantastic Four, and he did a really nice job of sort of honoring that graphic design approach to him, but still making him look like it was an organic rock kind of build. That guy's good. I'm wondering if there should be music playing under my speaking so that when I don't speak, it's somewhat entertaining. So there again, the outlines I try and create a bit of form in the rockness of it all. Yeah, that wasn't looking squared off enough for me, so I cleaned it up a little bit. Now in this instance, I think I know what I'm doing with the shadows, but I kind of don't, and you'll see me get to a point where I kind of go, I'm gonna do this instead, like right now. It's me reassessing and readjusting as I go, which again goes to that not really having a hard and fast rule in how I approach drawing this dude. Thing is not a character I draw terribly often. I drew this one on August 28th, which is the birthday of Jack Kirby, who designed and created or co-created the thing, depending on where you fall on that spectrum. There was a thing that people used to do. It's called Wake Up and Draw, where you'd wake up and draw a Jack Kirby character and post it to social media. So I did that. And then as I was drawing it, I thought, oh, let's see if I can slap some color onto this thing. So what I'm doing right now, you can see a little cursor moving around the outside of the figure, is I'm basically creating a selection underneath the shape. I put a layer under it. This is somewhat technical digital software talk, but I'm outlining the shape. And what I'm going to do is once that shape is outlined, I'm going to make a color selection. On the bottom left of the screen, you'll see that's me choosing orange. And then with a click of a button, boom, everything's orange. And then next steps is just sort of defining some other, not sort of, I'm literally coloring in the inside of his mouth. I will color in his eyes, and I stopped there. I didn't go in and start adding shadows and that kind of thing to the individual rocks. I could have added a highlight, which probably would have worked even better. But I wanted to keep it pretty simple, get the drawing done, and then try this thing out where I narrate the drawing. So now the figure's done, drop a background in, and then I sign it. That's about all the stuff I have left to say. See you next time.